Hello and welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Pinkava, joined as always by the lovely Deplorable Knitter.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. And this week we are sponsored by Chicken Lady as always. So don't forget to use our code to pick up fabulous yarns like this potpourri. The code is PIK VOTE20 for 20% off your order this month. And look at so pretty. So pretty.
So yeah, remember to vote and remember that Christmas is coming. Both of them are important.
It is. And speaking of voting, I wanted to mention that it's my 4-year anniversary of being Deplorable Knitter. I started in 2018. Somebody asked for a walkaway hat for the midterms, and that's when I became me. And so already it's been 4 years. I can't believe it. It just dawned on me the other day. I was kind of excited.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it feels like forever and it feels like no time at all. It's very strange. So, but yeah, so 4 years of being a deplorable. There you go. Well, I was one longer than that, but officially 4 years. So that's fun. Yeah.
4-year anniversary of your moniker.
Yeah, so that's that. I have not knit at all this week. I did do a little dyeing experiment. I wasn't going to show it to you, but Anne said I had to. So this is my giant loaf of yarn. There's 5 skeins in here, but this I dyed this week with pokeweed, which is it gets like 9 feet tall. It's this humongous plant, and it gets these berries on it, and they're really, really purple. And I guess you can use different mordants to make it different colors. Somebody was like, "Hey, tell me all about how you did it," and I was like, well, I let it boil, and then I let it boil, and then I threw some alum in it, and then I let it boil. Like I used a potato masher to make sure all the juice came out. Like, I don't know, I can't, I got nothing. But my little experiment worked out really well, and there's a lot of pink in it, actually. It's a lot of pink, and there's some deeper reds, and some of it is kind of on the orangey side, and so I don't know. I told my husband I was going to make a sweater with it, and he goes, "No, don't say that." And I'm like, "Why?" It's because you always say you're going to make a sweater and you never do. Don't do it. I'm like, so I have to figure out what to make out of it.
Oh man.
Well, he just tells it like it is, and that's pretty accurate. I say I'm going to do a lot of things, and then I get distracted by other projects. I think that's normal for a lot of crafters, but
True.
Unless you're Anne, and then you just knock everything out. She's been knitting like it's her job, so.
Yeah, well, it kind of has been. So
might as well take advantage of the time, right? So
might as well. And after all, I mean, we still have the 2 sweater challenge going to the end of the year. So if you wanted to knock out a sweater, now's the perfect time.
Yeah, but I have other things I have to do.
I know.
That's
I do
the thing. Unfortunately for me, by the time I'm done with school and stuff, I'm kind of like, I could do something useful, or I could lay on my bed and stare at the ceiling. And often, staring wins. Right. Not that I don't love teaching the kids. It's just, gosh, I don't know how people do it with 30 kids all day long. I do it with my 2, and I'm like, but what you got?
What I got? Well, first off, I'll show off the boring ones. I got 2 pot holders. Yay. 'Tis the most boring knitting.
Handy though. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you need them. Old ones were looking a little dingy. Woohoo. So that's fun.
Did you use a pattern, or did you just kind of wing it?
It's a square. It's 3 strands of yarn. It's
okay.
Is
it acrylic? Is it?
Yeah, it's acrylic.
I've heard people be like, "Oh, don't use acrylic yarn for pot holders." Look, my mother has always made me acrylic pot holders. There's nothing wrong with them. So whatever.
Right. Actually, the biggest thing is that it's 3 strands of yarn with size 8 needles. That kind of hurts my hands after a while. But I mean, they're pretty solid. There's nothing getting through. So yeah.
Cool.
got that. I got here, I have my lovely shawl, which I'm hoping to write a pattern for this one, but it's all nice and blocked and everything now. That with the little stars on the edges folds over anyways, but and then this is Chicken Lady Sweet Maple yarn, which is very pretty. And here, and then I showed this before, but I don't care. I got my little snowdrop, which I love.
It's very pretty.
Yeah. Very fun to make too. I really like this one. But here, I'll try to figure out how to wear it on air.
How fancy. You got your little stars and your flower right there.
A
Perfect.
flower. Fancy, fancy. But yeah, so I really like it. I want to make a bigger one already though. I'm already there. That this is lovely and all, and isn't this nice and scarf-like? And like, yeah, but bigger, which is how I am with every project.
I was gonna say, I feel like we already had this conversation when you were making your twins quilt. You're like, I like it, but it should be like this big. And I'm like, kill me, Anne.
You're like, that's ridiculous, Anne. And I'm still in my mind, I'm like, one of these days, that Quinn's quilt, round 2, the reckoning.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it's
yeah,
beautiful. Is it going to be a pattern?
yes, yeah, I want to do the pattern. So I'm excited because yeah, it is very pretty. Got to get more yarn from Chicken Lady because this stuff is fantastic. But yeah,
Are you gonna make it the same color?
Yeah. And you're like, why?
See,
And why wouldn't you do a different color? And I'm like, because I love this. And
right. That's part of my problem is that I like small projects so that I can use lots of different things. And Anne's like, no, I'm gonna make 8,000 things out of this one kind of yarn.
it's like, no, I love this, specifically this. But yeah, so I'm doing that. I have a hat that I'm knitting for a friend of mine who wanted their specific music class acronym. I don't even know what it means. So knitting a hat for that. I did. Oh wait, that's upside down. I figured out the Ripiverse logo this week, which is very cool. And I was on Neil's show, Blocked Magazine, would be past Wednesday. So that was cool if you want to check out our interview. And I was very proud that other people seem interested in this little design thing too. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Other Ripiverse fans.
Tell them the most exciting thing about that whole thing.
I know, I'm blushing. I shouldn't though. No, that no, I posted a picture with this and the Isom comic book and talking about being on with Neil because we did talk a lot about Eric July and the Ripiverse, and Eric retweeted me. So, that was very exciting.
So Anne had a moment she was fangirling, so that's exciting.
It's like, oh, Senpai noticed me. But no, it's very, very cool. And I mean, definitely the guy's been doing a lot of good. He's putting out good product. He's actually changing the comic book industry. So that's awesome.
That is awesome. I was going to mention though, this is slightly a bit more of a downer, but the left has deemed that this is Rovember. They have christened it Rovember, and so those of us that are pro-life are doing no Rovember. So if you're on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you can use the hashtag no Rovember, and we're posting like pro-life things, and we're also posting like baby knits and things. So just flood the internet with some good, guys, because I saw some stuff today that made me sad, and so we got to keep the good going.
It's true. And so much of it too is that the left doesn't have a lot to run on right now. The policies have utterly failed. The cost of living, i.e. the cost of lockdown that we have right now with prices and inflation and the rest of it, higher crime in cities, absurd social policies when it comes to surgeries and children. We have all of this going on, but the big push for a lot of things seems to be, well, the Republicans want to take away a woman's basic human right to kill their baby. So, which is not how it's framed. I think Anne Hathaway the other day said that another word for abortion could be mercy, not for the kid.
I saw that, and I was trying to listen. I always really liked her as an actress, and I had no idea she was so insane. But I'm watching her, and she looks like she's sincere, and I'm going, like, is there something wrong in there? Like, things aren't connecting if you actually believe that. It's not mercy.
Well,
maybe for you,
the mercy, right? The mercy apparently that a woman doesn't have to raise her child, but not the mercy for the fact that the procedure has a 100% kill rate, or I mean, nearly. A couple kids survive happily, but yeah.
But what you were mentioning just a second ago about how the left doesn't really have anything to run on. I was listening to some news shows, and they were talking about how this is normal, like in politics, and it kind of is going to cause a realignment, which is why it's looking like the Republicans are going to win in so many different races, because the left has gone really, really far, and so people aren't actually aligned with that. So it's going to kind of shift back to the center again, which is why we're looking at all these races that are going to all these Republican races that are in theory going to go to the Republicans.
Right.
And I just thought that was really interesting, because you hear about that, like, the red wave, the blue wave, and it's kind of, we've been getting more and more and more liberal, and it's kind of interesting to see, like, people are like, okay, I was okay putting up with it. Okay, I was okay putting up with it. Okay, now they're like really insane. I can't do this anymore, and we're going to go back over. So, I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I don't know if you saw, I only saw a couple of clips of Biden's speech yesterday, where he trotted out, and did he say anything about economic policy, anything about any of the actual important issues? No.
Did he say anything about his stuff? Nope,
no,
nothing that he's done.
No, he was talking about the extremist MAGA Republicans. Not all Republicans are, extremists. This is a fringe minority, but it's driving the party. And you're like, what? Oh, there you have it on your thing.
So, Anne, I have this quote written down. It's the extreme MAGA Republicans that are trying to suppress and subvert people's vote. That's what he said. Right. Or very close to it. I may not have gotten it verbatim, but that's what he said. And it's only the fringe Republicans. I thought it was interesting, though, that he went from saying all Republicans are like, Satan, to saying, well, these fringe Republicans are doing this. Like, apparently people are like, you can't keep saying that or something.
Well, Mitt Romney isn't one of these evil fringe Republicans, except when he is. And the only non-toxic quote Republican for him, I'm sure, is Liz Cheney. So that's probably no.
Yeah. But I also really enjoyed that he was saying that, we might not know the results of this election for many, many days to come afterwards, because of all of the mail-in voting and all of the this and that. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, and we need to accept the votes whenever they come in. They're all legitimate, and we need to accept them. And I'm going,
we have
seems to me like you're telling me you're going to cheat.
Yeah, we need to count every vote. And if you question us, you're the extremist. And for years now, we've had paper ballots, and we've been able to count them day of. And it's amazing. We've had the results. But now in the future, we have to be more progressive. And by progressive, we mean it might take days to say that the Democrats have won. And when the Republicans say, hey, something fishy, or perhaps even produce video of something fishy, it's their fault after all.
It is.
But, and also in conjunction with, it's like, no, saying that there might be a problem and us shouting you down instead of actually producing proof of no problem. But also the idea that, oh no, if these Republicans are democratically elected, then they are going to subvert democracy. That it doesn't seem that democracy seems to be what they're really into, even though they talk about it a lot.
No, they're not into it. In one thing I saw was, they were saying, people have the right to proof. And if the election was fair, they wouldn't have any trouble showing people proof. But there is a issue with the fact that people are saying, we don't think it's right. We don't think it, because seriously, if the 2020 election was right and everything was above board, they would be able to trot out all their stuff and be like, here it is. We wouldn't have to be asking like, hey, where's all the video? Where's this? Where's that? Why are you hanging up cardboard so nobody can see in? Why were you? And that's the stuff. At least we kind of know what they did last time. And I think a lot of places are more prepared to deal with that stuff and that it's not going to happen, hopefully. I know that some states already have lawyers on the ground, like ready to be there when things are going down. So that's going to hopefully make a difference. But
yeah, the more eyes on this and focus on this, the better. And I think a lot of people really are. It is important. And the fact that social media companies and the former vice president of the United States and everybody else has trotted out and have said this thing of election results might take days, and social media companies are telling you election results might take days. And by the way, YouTube and other companies are very quick to say, no, election misinformation, we must shut it down, like they're doing right now with what's happening in Brazil.
Yes,
it's
I just love it. Everything you're saying is a note that I have. It's like we mind melted before this happened, because
that we're on the same page here. But yes, totally. But no, it's
YouTube is censoring stuff from coming out of the election in Brazil. And everybody called January 6th an insurrection. Dude, have you seen what's going on in Brazil? I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Right.
But their Supreme Court, one of their Supreme Court justices said that social media should censor people who don't believe that the results are real. And that seems really fishy to me. I don't know exactly what the deal is with speech in Brazil.
I know that the government of Brazil is putting the newly elected government of Brazil is putting pressure on Getter to get certain people off the social media platform, that they're too influential there, that they should not be. Yeah, the government itself deplatforming people, which seems to be a more common occurrence around the world.
Yeah, and then also, I didn't realize it, but it appears that Biden's CIA chief was in Brazil doing stuff with the election, and that there were other high-ranking officials that were in Brazil or influencing Brazil. And that seems strange to me, because as the US, what the hell are we doing in their election?
Exactly. I would think that they're an independent and sovereign nation.
That's what I thought too, but apparently we I don't know, man.
Also, the fact that the Biden administration, when the guy whose election is contested now came in, he said that him being elected is a proof of democracy, and we support him, and everybody else shut up.
Right. The guy that is got some fishy sauce going on is no, we know that that's a true. That seems weird.
Again, democracy. Don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah. So that's freaking disturbing. And then I also heard, I missed two very important points last week when I ranted about voter ID. So I'm just going to touch on this and then we'll move on. But apparently I missed the entire point of it, which is why if we have voter ID laws, all the illegals can't vote. Duh, I should have known that. Never even crossed my mind because I don't try to break the rules on purpose. But that's just me.
Would have thought
But
that
now,
part was obvious, but you remembered that, oh yeah, people want this.
I'm just thinking regular people who live in the US, yes, they have an ID. People who should be living here have IDs. That's where my brain was going. Never thought about the ones that shouldn't be here. My bad. But also now they're saying that voter ID laws are transphobic. They're transphobic because their name may not align with how they look or their name that they're using currently. And so therefore that is a way to oppress trans people.
Ah, is the liquor store transphobic? Because I'm pretty sure you still have to present an ID when asked.
Yeah. Or you know, the gas station when you want to buy cigarettes, beer, lotto tickets, all those things require ID. But I just thought it was super funny.
I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that to enter certain bars, they ask you for your ID when you come in.
That is true. I haven't been to one in so long, but yes, I think that could still happen.
Bars frequented by trans people, you still need some level of ID to get in.
Anne, why are you so logical?
It's a curse.
So everything's going on with the election, and even though it looks like the red wave is just going to come crashing into our country, we're pretty sure that the left is going to do everything they can to mess with it. And a lot of people that are conservatives are saying don't count your chickens because one, that's when it doesn't work out because people don't actually go and vote, and two, we know that they cheat, so we'll just see how badly they cheat and if we can get over it.
And I think Babylon B had a thing saying that Democrats are concerned that Americans might vote Republican beyond the margin of cheating.
Correct. So. Well, I think that's what happened the first time that Trump was elected, was that he had so much support that they underestimated it, and they weren't able to fix it the way they had planned. That's what I think happened. But I could be wrong. Don't come at me. I have personal beliefs. They don't have to be yours.
Well, judging by Hillary's reaction.
So there was something that was really interesting to me, though. They keep saying the quiet part out loud, and I don't know why. Like, hey guys, if you're trying to be like sneaky, like, don't tell us. That makes it more sneaky. But
so like after last election, when they're like, no, all these crazy things with, cheating and those conspiracy theorists out there, let us tell you how we fortified that election. We fortified it good. Like, by fortified, do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, you mean you brought in ballots from under the table that nobody, just wheeled them in? And yeah, no. But they said that for years, the Democrat Party has been bringing in Latino voters to help turn red states purple. Somebody said that. Somebody up there said that.
Right.
And it's like, well, I mean, we always have suspected that, but now the interesting part is that they have gone so far left that Latinos, who tend to be family-oriented, religious, different things like that, aren't drinking their Kool-Aid because it goes against their moral beliefs. And so it's kind of funny, like a little bit, like perhaps you should have thought that through a little bit better. Maybe you should have gotten a country that wasn't like Catholic, or I don't know. Are they Catholic?
Mostly, yes.
Yes. But you know what I mean? Maybe you should have gone for a country that, isn't religious. Maybe one that's kind of like apathetic about those things. That probably would have been better for them. I don't know, man.
I'm not sure if we're into international news yet, but England's having an issue right now of an influx of people from Albania that 60% of the guys coming over in dinghies are Albanians. And old Rishi Rich, his plan is to send money to Albania to make Albania a nicer place, so people won't want to leave Albania. Now, if Albania, you consider them to be a generally corrupt country, yeah, that money's not going to go to making it a better place. It's going to go to whoever's politician's pockets.
Right.
B, you're having all of these TikTok videos advertise how much money you can make in England in the drug and human trafficking trade, which the Albanians do run in England. So, I mean, there's people, flashing cash and guns and everything else in these TikTok videos, and they're shut down and more are brought up. There's a story out of Kent the other day, which they claimed to be misinformation. And the lady whose house it was got on and said, no, it was my house. A couple of illegal immigrants, a couple Albanians, walk into Kent. The lady had her back door open because she had just let the dog out, and she goes to shut the door again. A man walked into her house and asked and demanded to use her phone. And then her neighbor comes by and says, there's a man in my house. So she goes over to try to shove this guy out, and he's again demanded to be driven to Manchester. Like, not even there's a guy in my house, but he expects things from you, that you're just a person living their day-to-day life, and there is a level of, no, you're going to do what I want. No, I don't care if you're just, yeah,
it's so strange to me.
Yes,
I don't understand why. I mean, really, what you could expect when you walk into a stranger's house and demand things is that the cops will come and take you away as you come into a place that's not yours and then demanded things. That's just very strange.
It is. And also the suppression of the story. And yeah, it's not good.
This kind of news like makes my head hurt. Like, honest to God, like trying to figure out like how this even is happening. Like right here, I can feel it right here. I can't even process it.
Right. And the sort of counter story is that, all these refugees are packed into these housing things. And there was a story it's one of those stories that should have gained more traction to get the impression that there's more to it, where a guy, he threw a bomb at a migrant center, and then he went and killed himself. Now, obviously that is a horrible thing that he would do that, but that is the sort of anti-immigrant violence, which, like I said, often gets more traction. So it's weird that it's like, and that goes away. We've talked about the problem before, where they want to take these old castles and country homes and use them to house migrants, and they get, free meals, healthcare twice a week if they want them, phones, money, everything. When the people of England are having a really hard time right now. So you have this sort of bizarre dichotomy of what's going on, how these illegal immigrants are treated. The quote is, they're asylum seekers, and don't you care about the women and children, when it's 80% men. And if they were being persecuted in Albania, then why didn't they stop in France or Italy or any of the countries? No, they went all the way to take a dinghy over to England, and assisted by the French. And yet it's the English's fault that these people are in such a horrible state. They're the bad ones for wanting to send them back.
I think a lot of what the problems today comes down to is that people are entitled. They think they deserve things that they have not worked for and that they are not owed. I would never in my life walk into somebody's house and be like, hey, give me a ride. I might walk over to my neighbor's house, that's my friend, and be like, hey, can you give me a ride? But that's like a different story. That's a
Right.
normal thing.
And especially not even oh, please, please, please.
Yeah.
No. Give it to me.
Yeah. You owe me. And I just don't understand. And I don't understand why so many people think that it's bad or wrong to not cater to these people. So they're coming in illegally too, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm just not all up on the English border issue.
Right.
I didn't know that they had border issues. People just apparently, so it's like Florida where they just come over on their like carts, and not carts, but like their rafts and
Right. Though they have a pretty professional system going, but yeah, they're crossing the channel over from France. And then just over the sort of French line, the British border guard just picks them up and hauls them all in, and which is also something that offends a lot of people. That why are we doing this? Why are we
Right.
encouraging this behavior?
Right. Yeah, I don't even have anything to say about that. It's all crap. So what else is happening in England?
Well, everything. See, there is a little talk because with Rishi Sunak and the Tories just being such they're not conservative. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Already Rishi Sunak said, oh, no, I won't go to the climate conference. Oh, well, I must go to the climate conference now. No, but before I said that we wouldn't stop fracking. Oh, well, we do. Yeah. Fishy Rishi indeed. But that the social, okay, so you have all these little parties in England. You have the Reclaim Party, which is Lawrence Fox. You have the Reform Party, which is Richard Tice, but it was formerly the Brexit Party. With Nigel Farage, and he sort of passed it over, and they changed the name because no more Brexit. But you also have this. You have UKIP. You also have the Social Democrat Party, which they're very interesting because they are economically liberal but socially conservative, and they're very pro free speech. So they're one of those groups that's like, yeah, there's a lot I disagree with, but they're very interesting as a political party. But they have, the Social Democrat Party has sort of made a pact with the Reform Party, so former Brexit Party. So that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a lot of shuffling right now in England behind closed doors.
Yeah. So this is slightly off topic, but I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. And one of the ones that I enjoy the most is called Red Handed, and it's two women that are in England. And I had stopped listening to them for a long time because they were so liberal. They were so like, and they would get off on tangents about this or that or whatever, and I just couldn't listen to it. And I kind of ran out of things to listen to, so I'm like, I'll go back to it. It's, I'll ignore the politics. And one of the women, I mean, they're both still liberal, but one of the women is like talking about, like, I didn't vote for Brexit, but now that we've done it, I don't think we should go back. I think we should try to make it work. I don't think that somebody we didn't elect should be able to make laws for us and stuff. And so it's like really interesting to hear that, we know that that's going on here in the US a lot, but I think it's also happening in other countries where people who maybe were like super gung-ho are kind of like, it wasn't my choice, but there are things that there's more to it than maybe we knew or thought about, and it kind of goes back to that shift. What was the realignment that may happen with our election. And it appears that, because seriously, like, I used to despise listening to them talk politics, and now I'm kind of excited because the one woman will kind of get off on a tangent, and I don't think her co-host agrees, but no, it's so interesting to me to listen to her now, because like they did an episode on QAnon, and she was talking about like how crazy they think the QAnon conspiracies are. But then she went on this thing where she was like, but I kind of understand why people were taken in by it, because they were so hopeless. And I'm like, you know, she doesn't have it all, but it's interesting to hear somebody that I like despised it when she would talk about the stuff. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and you're starting to understand where we're coming from. And it's really interesting. So anyway, my random story about that.
No, but, and you know, also to say QAnon, not for it. But yeah, that the point that this lady is getting to, where you can be like, yeah, we can see where it could change. I mean, after all, the price of tea in England has gone up 46%. That's enough to break anybody.
For real.
Yeah, but also I would like to, okay, so speaking of people who are kind of coming to see the light, but also not really, I don't know if you saw any of the "We Need Pandemic Amnesty" article.
Oh my God. It was, okay, I read the article. And then I wish I hadn't read the article because I was so angry that I just...
Well, the article, okay. Gosh, it was rough. Because the entire thing to me, yeah, sorry.
But before you get going on it, there was an article in the Atlantic that talked about how we need pandemic amnesty for people because they didn't know what they were doing. That was more or less the whole vibe of the article. So just so people know.
Right. But that the vibe of the article is, well, we didn't know what we were doing. But then she sort of half pussyfoots around it, going like, oh, well, but you see, when me and our family, we were hiking with our kids, and you know, whenever somebody would come on the path, we'd do a hand signal and we'd all put on our cloth masks. And she remembers her young child yelling at somebody else to social distance, but after all, we didn't know. And then she goes through this and she says, but after all, you know, some warning about medical misinformation was needed because you know, telling people to not inject themselves with bleach. And, you know, there were people who were right, but they were right for the wrong reasons. And she does this like bizarre half thing. And then what I got from her article was, you see, the thing is that yes, we were wrong, but we were wrong in complying with the right people. After all, we were pretty right because we were listening to the right people. And now the right people are saying that we were wrong. Now we'll listen to them. And frankly, you should apologize to us for just being a stick in the mud the whole time. Like, y'all were just rude. But you know, what, we were good people, and what we did in good faith, as if her kid, you know, as if what the media was telling you justified this horrible behavior towards the unvaccinated. Because after all, our compliance makes it virtuous. That us listening, you know, to the experts makes this right. Us agreeing with blocking other sources of information that may have been giving us the right information was after all right, because really y'all are loonies. And just that it's the whole we were just following orders thing, and we just thought what we were doing was right. And you should forgive us, but also we're not asking you. We're asking you to comply with this as well. Like, we're not like saying we're sorry, really. We're saying that, well, we didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing, the whole article was, I skimmed it because I don't remember some of the stuff that you just said, which because I couldn't, it was so bad I couldn't like, but they were like talking about how somehow DeSantis got it all right. But nobody like asks any questions about how he got it right. We were just like, well, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to, but it turned out okay for them. Well, maybe somebody should have been doing what DeSantis was doing.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a reason that people were flooding Florida during this pandemic.
Right. Well, I'm sure they were just doing it because they were selfish in wanting some freedom, and that they're, you know, after all, they were just really bad, non-compliant people, and us good, compliant people should, after all, get some credit for our goodness.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get any credit. And also, you're a bad parent if you allow your kid to yell at somebody for not social distancing.
Yeah.
Because your child, that's not their job.
Yeah, that having just allowing your child to behave badly towards another person because it's all right, because you're following the science. Yeah.
It's not the same thing, but it's the same thing. We have a neighbor who's a pain in the ass, and he's young, in his early 20s. And so once in a while, an older adult neighbor will come over and be like, hey, can you? And he just shouts at them because his parents never taught him how to act. And that's going to be this person's kids.
There's also a certain level of othering. It is those people over there are still stupid and wrong. And after all, we, the enlightened people who listen to the scientists, are good and right. And you're still wrong and I'm still right, even though somehow you are right. But again, must have been for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, yeah. But you were listening to the wrong sources. So even if you were right, you still don't get any credit for that. And right. It was like a joke going around that, you know, men and women who didn't have the jab were going to be like able to get like top dollar for their reproductive abilities. And I think it's going to happen, like, because all these people just went along with it, and now we've got all the infertility and all the young people dying. And yeah, but they went along with it because it was the right thing to do. No,
yeah, it's mysterious.
I'm not giving you a pass.
Right. And through all of that, it's like, oh well, we were wrong. And then what we were wrong, we're mentioning about things like masks, and yeah, school closures were wrong. And it's like, no, there was a literal human cost to what happened, and you supported it. That there were teenagers who committed suicide on lockdown. There are people who lost their jobs. There are people who lost their livelihoods and their homes. There were, in the case of the Canadian truckers, people who had their bank accounts shut down by a collusion of the government and banks. And all of these things, you know, people beaten in the street in Australia by police officers, people moved along from wanting to sit on a sunny day on a bench in public. There was a little concert that had happened in England during lockdown, that they had a family of musicians do this beautiful string quartet, and the police stopped them because, after all, people might want to congregate and listen. You had, like I said, people who lost their jobs, nurses out of a job, anyone who got the vaccine and then were injured about it, as was proven by the NHS and AstraZeneca on death certificates in England. And they have begun to do payouts for the vaccine bereaved and injured. That we have all of these things. And it's like, after all, you know, it's us. So you should listen.
I'm over it. And it's not.
Yeah. And it's
they're never going to be able to make it okay. That saying, oh, well, we followed the science, that's never going to make it okay. It's never going to make all the othering okay. It's never going to make all the things they did to people. I mean, our president told us we were going to have a winter of death and despair because of the unvaccinated.
Right. And also, it's not as if, like I said, it's not as if they're really saying sorry. They're not even stopping this behavior. You know, they're not even turning it around. They're still, you know, pushing boosters. They're still saying, oh, well, you know, this much for COVID time. That there's still signs in every grocery store that has a pharmacy saying, get your COVID shot here. And in America, you still cannot come into the country unless you've had a vaccine. Are they stopping that? No.
I don't even know. But this whole conversation kind of helps with one of my last points, or one of my close to last points. So on The View, I believe it was today, maybe yesterday, Sunny Holstein, or whatever their name is, compared white women who vote Republican to roaches that vote for Raid. So we are living in this thing where it's totally fine to other people now. if I said a Black woman who voted Democrat is like a voting for raid, which would be more accurate because the Democrats are trying to make them, you know, abort their babies and lose their lives and depend on the government, that would be a more accurate comparison. But if I said it, end of the world. But no, we can say whatever we want to about white women, especially if they vote Republican.
Right. It's, well, as has been said before, it's the Be Kind Brigade, which thinks it's a-okay to say the most horrible and awful things about them, about other people. But that's okay. That's fine. Because after all, I'm the compassionate one. The TV told me so.
I'm just over it. I'm really, I don't know how you come back from this. I don't know how you come back from a division this deep, honestly. Like, it sounds pessimistic, but it's really, when you spend 3 years saying that because you didn't get the shot or you didn't do what we said or you didn't want to wear your mask or whatever it was, how do you come back from that? How can you come back to these people? I mean, I guess on both sides, people are kind of, I don't know, man.
I know, pretty entrenched. But yeah, and that's kind of a thing with the, you know, upcoming elections too, that, you know, you think, how could you possibly vote Democrat after the few years that we've had? But how, on the other side, how can you fully admit that you were wrong? And some people, that is an extremely difficult thing to do. And some people live, I mean, kind of in a bubble where everybody agrees. So naturally, you know, this is about, you know, woman's fundamental human right. And this is about, you know, kindness is on the ballot when the president does, you know, fist pounding speeches about how the other side are Satan themselves.
No. Good news though, New York State, that was 23%. Biden won by 23% in New York State, okay? Right? And Lee Zeldin is in the lead for governor. Excellent. And, you know, Kathy Hochul cannot wrap her brain around it because she is one of those fist pounding crazy people. She's got the crazy eyes. Go watch her talk. She looks like she's legitimately should be somewhere in a padded room. But, you know,
I was going to say, the woman who, when things such as violent crime is brought up, she's just like, well, I don't understand why you're worried about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't like people getting attacked from the streets.
Because it's not normal to be concerned about somebody pushing you on the tracks in the subway or to have gang shootings just around. I mean, like, unfortunately, gang shootings do happen generally in bad neighborhoods, but I'm pretty sure that Lee Zeldin, who is running for governor, doesn't live in a terrible neighborhood, and there are gang shootings everywhere now because there are no consequences. There's no consequences. I'm telling you, all these people need to be spanked. They need to be told that there is right and wrong. Like, there's no rules. And a lot of it is because parents don't parent, and then schools don't expect anything of them, and then we give them money to live, and then what do you expect is going to happen? There's no rules. They're just doing whatever they want to. But Zeldin was saying that people are over this. We're over the crime. We're over the terrible education. We're over the taxes. We're over, you know, Hochul's like, oh, well, if you are a Trump Republican, this isn't the place for you. No, this isn't the place for you. We're done with you. And, you know, a lot of people have hit their breaking point, and that's why they're fleeing the state. But even though a lot of the good Republicans have fled the state, there's still enough of us left. Vote.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
and Republican voter registration is up by thousands in California, which is also very surprising. And they're even talking about a red governor in Oregon.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, and I saw this week, so my governor, Kristi Noem, is up for re-election, and Glenn Youngkin came around to do the campaign thing for her. And okay, so Jamie Smith is the Democrat running against him, or against her. He's pretty radical, but also South Dakota tends to be pretty safe. So it'd be quite a shock if it goes otherwise.
Right. But I just, it's easy to be, oh, other people are vote, or like my husband and I have kind of joked about it in New York that our votes don't matter. This year, everyone's votes matter. I mean, they always matter, but this year especially, you know, they're going to try to cheat. You know, they're going to try to take it away from you. And it's because there's a huge red wave. So every vote is going to go against that. And it's important. But yeah, no, we were watching the presidential election and like 0.5% of the vote was in New York, and the state was already called for Biden. And that's the state we live in. We still go vote. We still, but maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe we can finally deal with it. And what we need to start doing too, I know we've been huge on this election talk today, but it's coming up. It's a big deal. We need to start asking our Republican people to hold stuff accountable. To, if we think that something is wrong, we think something has happened that isn't right, we need to be on our representatives. We need to be calling and emailing and doing all the shit that the Democrats always do. Because I know that we don't play the game the same way, and we have to start. You don't like it, flood their phone lines. You don't like what a company is doing with their, you know, now I've got a commercial on where it was about rings, right? Oh, give a ring to the person you love. When boy meets boy. When you don't like that shit, let them know. We've got to stop just being like, oh, well, it's just what it's going to be. I used to love watching Hallmark movies. I'm going to tell them that I don't want to watch them anymore because I don't want the agenda pushed down my throat. It's life. Anyway.
Okay, so this is something that's silly. That Disney put, that one of the upcoming shorts that they're going to have, you know, that they put before their films, that it's a little girl who's a ballerina and she's fat, and it's supposed to be a fat positive thing. And okay, so I don't know. It's one of those things that if it was something that was a couple of years ago and the story was like, yeah, the other girls don't like her or don't think that she can do it, but she tries her best and she's a good ballerina anyways, you know, they'd be like, okay, that's a good story. And it's something that's cute and funny and it's a little cartoon. But when you know it's going to be something that is pushed for fat positive, for, you know, don't go on a diet or don't try to, you know, work out or lose weight or, you know, try to improve yourself in some way because, you know, that's phobic to other people. That when you know, instead of just a nice little story about like, okay, we're all different and we can, you know, do better and we can still do great things even though that we're different and people said you couldn't. When you know that it's going to be no, we're agenda pushing today. We are saying that this is how you should think about things and this is how you should behave.
All right. So goes back to the racism of low expectations, right? So we have the racism of low expectations. We have the, it's not quite racism, but it's we have low expectations for you. We don't expect that you can do well. We don't expect you can be healthy. Look, I'm not one to talk. I've gained 40 pounds in about the last 3 years. I need to lose weight. But you know what? I've been talking to my doctor about it. I've been doing certain things in my life because I'm not happy with how I look. But forcing, it's, people say that it's rude for me to say that. And it's not. And am I I'm not fat phobic. I just think that people should be healthy. And I don't think that I should be glorifying the fact that people aren't healthy. We're living in a world where people are dropping dead of heart disease anyway. Let's try to be a little bit better about it.
Right.
I don't know, man. Ugh. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I was underweight and I gained 40 pounds and I looked fine, that'd be great. But you know what? I was never underweight, unfortunately. I need to be healthier. Come to find out, I have a thyroid problem. I'm on medication now. Now I'm in a position where I can start to lose weight, but just ignoring it is not the answer. Just saying, I could be like, oh, well, I've got this thyroid thing, so I'm just going to be heavy now. No, I still need to work. I still need to do things, but.
Right. And I'd never make a good ballerina, just saying. It's not just the height.
No, but the thing is that if you're a ballerina and you're training to be a ballerina, there's a reason that they look the way they do, because they dance for like 7 billion hours a day. Yeah, I think that the expectations put on ballerinas are unrealistic to an extent, but also if a person is training to be a ballerina, that body positivity thing kind of is moot, because if you're dancing all day, every day, probably you're not going to be overweight.
Right. Not to mention the stress that it puts on yourself, particularly your toes, if you have to balance more weight on them, because that hurts. And also that someone else has to do the lifts. So anyways, was there something else you want to talk about?
I mean, we didn't mention that Elon Musk took over Twitter.
Yay!
And okay, so one thing I've seen a lot is that the use of the N-word has risen by 500%. So like, people, let's not be asshats, okay? Like, don't say things that are rude just to say them because Elon owns it now. Like, let's be good stewards of free speech and not just, cause trouble, but also him. I love all the fact checking that's coming up, and it's not fact checking, it's like, other readers have added this context you might want to know, and it's like, oh, how interesting, tell me more.
Right. Well, with the N-word thing, okay, so like I said before, I've enjoyed Twitter much more than I should, and it's like, oh no, Twitter is a cesspool, don't go on Twitter. I'm like, Twitter. I've had too much fun, and I admit it, and it's bad. But no, it's like it's risen this much. It's like, okay, I have seen but one instance in my entire time in Twitter, which is mostly conservative voices, and it was a Black man in reference to somebody else who happened to be white. And it's like, that is again flipping through, like, oh wow, flip. Keep going.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure that part of it is bad actors. I'm sure that it's not, but like, let's not do what they expect us to, for one, but for two, him talking to people. Yeah, don't be that guy, whatever. But him talking to like AOC and stuff, it's so funny. And he fact checked something that the White House put out there, and then they took it down. And then they said something about how they had made 700,000 new jobs, and they put out, like, the readers added more context. Things said, well, if you're talking about brand new jobs, only this many have been added. If you're talking about jobs that have come back after the pandemic, then yes, this number is accurate. And then the White House deleted the tweet. So I don't know, kind of funny, kind of fun. I'm into it.
Funny. I know. And it's one of those things of, oh, please, Papa Elon, don't screw us, because it could totally happen. But for the time being, it's a great time.
Right. And everybody's like, oh, a lot of conservatives are really into Elon. He's still a weird, creepy dude. So like, don't get too cozy. He wants to like implant chips into us, and like, I don't know. Like,
he also had an affair with Amber Heard. So, his reasoning is not totally solid. Okay.
I didn't know that. Speaking of Amber Heard, somebody was like, oh, she was maligned and she was treated horribly. And I'm like, I don't think you watch the same thing I watch, because she was crazy and a very bad actress.
She's nuts, and she cannot act. She is pretty, but she nuts. But also during all this, with all of the internet celebrities who are like, that's it, I'm leaving Twitter, and they're not. Amber Heard did leave Twitter. She deleted it all and got out of there.
Them saying that they're going to leave Twitter, you know what it reminds me of? Everybody who was going to leave the country when Trump won. So I'll believe it when I see it, guys.
Right. Well, I was just going to say that, I mean, in Amber's case, whoever you are, if your ex is suddenly in control of a social media company you're on, I might leave too. That's just point for Amber there.
I believe that is probably her reason for it, really.
Yeah.
But all right, we've gone long enough. I could get mad about more stuff, but I'll try not to.
Right. Anyways, everybody get out there and vote, and use our code PIKVOTE20 for Chicken Lady Fiber Arts to get 20% off your orders.
Get 20% off of fabulous, beautiful skeins. DK sock, it's all squishy and fluffy, and her yarn is so pretty. Like, I had a whole cart full the other day, and then I talked myself out of it. But you know, go use our code, get 20% off. It's worth it. Don't talk yourself out of it like I did. And hey, also, I am almost at 3,500 followers on Instagram, and I'm going to be doing like a big old giveaway over there, some yarn, a pattern, some other little fun things. So come follow me, because then you'll get to win something. Perhaps you'll get a chance to win something. So it's Deplorable Knitter on Instagram. Follow me there. Follow me everywhere. I'm Deplorable Knitter. Anne is Anne Pinkava on all the things. And
that's right.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on YouTube and Rumble.
Yep. Especially if things are getting crazy on YouTube. Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble's a safe place for us. So if for any reason we're never on YouTube, make sure you check out our channel over there. Yeah. And
also quick mention that they shut down Steven Crowder again this last week after his election streams have been the biggest online. So that's going to be on Rumble if you're a fan of old Steven.
Good to know. Yeah, so check it out. Check us out. We'll see you guys next week. Ooh,
all right, see you then.
We'll see you next Tuesday for the Live from the Knitting Wars. It's going to be our election special.
Right.
Don't forget. 2 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday.
Yep. Be there or be square.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye.